In February 2023, Elon Musk posted a tweet that the entire tech world laughed at. He called OpenAI a closed-source, maximum profit company, effectively controlled by Microsoft. Tech journalists called him bitter. Podcasters said he was jealous. Everyone said Musk was angry he got left behind, and now he was throwing a tantrum. But every single thing Musk warned about has come true. Not because Musk is some kind of prophet, but because he had watched Sam Altman work from the inside for years. And once you understand how Altman actually operates, OpenAI stops looking like a mission to save humanity. It starts looking like something else entirely. Back in December 2015, a group of the biggest names in tech made a very public announcement. They were building an AI lab, but not like the ones already out there. This one would have no shareholders, no profit motive, no pressure to make money for investors. The whole thing would run on donations, operate in the open, and put safety above everything else. It sounded almost too good to be true. Elon Musk put in money. He genuinely believed AI was one of the most dangerous technologies ever created. He didn't want it being built behind closed doors by a single company chasing profits. Google had just acquired DeepMind, and Musk thought the only real counter to that was something completely different. Something that answered to no one, shared everything openly, and put humanity above profit. Sam Altman joined as president. The story was compelling, and it landed exactly the way they needed it to. These weren't greedy tech executives chasing the next billion. These were the good guys, the ones who actually cared. At least, that was the story. Within 2 years, by late 2017, the conversation behind closed doors had already shifted. The leadership was quietly discussing how to restructure the organization to attract serious investment. Musk saw it happening, and he wanted control of where it was going. He pushed for majority equity. The rest of the team said no. So in February 2018, Musk walked away, and Sam Altman stepped into the space he left behind. The first warning came in December 2022. Right after ChatGPT launched and the entire internet lost its mind. While everyone was celebrating, Musk pointed out that OpenAI had been quietly using Twitter's data to train its models without his knowledge. And since Musk had just bought Twitter, that was a problem. He paused the data agreement and wrote, "OpenAI was started as open source and non-profit. Neither are still true." Then, in February 2023, Musk said OpenAI had become a closed-source, maximum profit company effectively controlled by Microsoft. He said it was not what he intended at all. Sam Altman responded to this by calling Musk a jerk. The media ran with the narrative that Musk was furious about ChatGPT's success, jealous of what OpenAI had built without him. In March 2023, Musk co-signed an open letter calling for a 6-month pause on AI development. Over 1,000 researchers and technologists signed it. Sam Altman dismissed it, saying not the optimal way to address the issue, and then kept training models at full speed. That same month, Musk said, "I'm still confused as to how a non-profit to which I donated around $100 million somehow became a $30 billion market cap for profit. If this is legal, why doesn't everyone do it?" By November 2023, Musk had a new name for the company. Standing at the New York Times Dealbook Summit, he said,
"OpenAI was actually started and it was meant to be open source. I named it. It should be renamed Super Closed Source for Maximum Profit AI."
Every journalist in that room wrote about how bitter he seemed. Almost none of them investigated whether he was right. Then came November 17, 2023. Sam Altman is at the Las Vegas Grand Prix when he finds out his own board just fired him. He was not given a chance to negotiate or respond. They removed him over a Google Meet call mid-weekend while he was sitting in the stands. The official statement was polished, but the message underneath it was not. They said he had not been consistently candid, that he had made it harder for the board to do its job. That's corporate way of saying he was lying to them. What followed was the most chaotic 4 days in Silicon Valley history. 745 out of roughly 770 OpenAI employees signed a letter threatening to walk out unless Altman was brought back. Microsoft announced he was joining them to lead a new AI division. Investors applied pressure from every direction, and within 96 hours, Altman was reinstated with a brand new board. Every single person who voted to remove him was gone. The media called it a victory for Sam, a sign of how loved he was. But that narrative fell apart in May 2024 when former board member Helen Toner finally broke her silence. In a TED podcast interview, she revealed that Altman had withheld information. He had misrepresented things that were happening inside the company, and in some cases, he had outright lied to the board. Toner revealed that the board had learned about the launch of ChatGPT from Twitter, the most significant product in OpenAI's history, and the people responsible for overseeing the company found out about it the same way everyone else did. She also revealed that 2 senior executives had used the phrase psychological abuse to describe Altman's management style. OpenAI's former CTO Mira Murati reportedly told the board she did not feel comfortable with Sam leading the company toward AGI, but none of it mattered because Altman had the employees, he had the investors, he had Microsoft standing behind him with essentially unlimited resources, and when you have all of that on your side, the board is just a formality. The people who tried to stop him lost everything, and the man they tried to stop walked back in like nothing had happened. If the firing was the warning shot, what came next was the confirmation. In July 2023, OpenAI had announced a dedicated super alignment team. 20% of the company's compute pledged to solving the problem of controlling super intelligent AI. It was supposed to be the proof that OpenAI still cared about its original mission. By May 2024, the team's 2 leaders were gone. Ilya Sutskever resigned to found a new company called Safe Super Intelligence. Jan Leike, the other co-lead, left shortly after and immediately went public. He said that over the past years, safety culture and processes had taken a backseat to shiny products. He added that his team had been sailing against the wind and struggling to secure compute for crucial research because Altman had cut the compute budget for the safety team from the 20% that was publicly promised down to somewhere between 1 and 2%. The super alignment team was quietly dissolved after both leaders left. The departures kept coming. OpenAI's CTO and 2 research leads all left on the same day in September 2024. The head of AGI readiness resigned in October, and that entire team was dissolved as well. 3 dedicated safety teams gone in under 2 years. And then in late 2025, OpenAI quietly rewrote its mission statement. The new version said the goal was to ensure that artificial general intelligence benefits all of humanity. Sounds fine on the surface, but the word safely was missing. That single word that had been part of OpenAI's identity since the beginning was just gone. No announcement, no explanation. They just removed it and hoped nobody would notice. When Musk sued OpenAI in 2024, the legal process started pulling internal documents into the light, and what came out was something nobody at OpenAI wanted the world to see. Among the documents was the private electronic diary of OpenAI co-founder Greg Brockman, now sitting in federal court as Exhibit 43. Brockman wrote these entries during the period when OpenAI was quietly planning its corporate conversion, and he wrote that if they had committed to being a non-profit and then 3 months later were converting to a for-profit structure, then it was a lie. He also wrote that Musk's version of events would correctly be that they were not honest with him about still wanting to do the for-profit conversion. Federal Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers cited the diary directly in her January 2026 ruling. She found that Brockman's notes could be read to suggest he intended to deceive. The trial is now imminent, and the man the entire tech world called jealous and bitter is about to present that diary to a jury. And when you look at the full picture of who Sam Altman actually is, it is not hard to understand why Musk never let this go. This is a man who stood in front of the United States Senate in 2023 and said under oath that he had no equity in OpenAI.
You make a lot of money, do you?
I paid enough for health insurance. I have no equity in OpenAI.
You need a lawyer or an agent?
I'm doing this because I love it.
Then it came out that he had equity through a Sequoia Capital Fund and a Y Combinator Fund. On top of that, he was running the OpenAI Startup Fund the entire time, while telling the board he had no financial interest in the company. When people started asking questions, he said the stakes were tiny and not worth talking about, and the restructuring that converted OpenAI from non-profit to for-profit was written in a way that could hand him around 7% equity in a company now worth $852 billion. And it goes deeper than money. The New Yorker published a massive investigation based on hundreds of interviews. What they found was a leader who tells people exactly what they want to hear, whether or not it is true. Former associates said he would sit with one person and tell them he believed everything they believed, then walk walk into the next room and tell someone with completely opposite views the exact same things. Once you see the full picture, his persuasive powers stop looking like charm. They start looking like something a lot more calculated than that. A senior Microsoft executive reportedly said Altman could one day be remembered as a fraud on the scale of Bernie Madoff. Board members who voted to remove him called him a sociopath unbound by the truth. His own chief scientist said he should not have his finger on the button for AGI. Elon Musk saw this coming in 2018. He warned about it publicly for years. He got laughed at, dismissed, and called jealous. Meanwhile, Altman kept building, kept raising money, kept going on television talking about ending poverty and reducing inequality, while OpenAI became one of the greatest wealth concentration machines in the history of Silicon Valley.